Hi everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Jay McMahon. Atma Yoga is the name of the channel. This is
Francis.
This is
Makaela.
And we are here to do some tutorials with you. So let's roll the intro.
I like the intro.
Okay, I made that.
Did you?
Yeah,
That was really good.
Thanks, guys. Welcome to the tutorial. My name is Jay McMahon, and this is Atma Yoga, the channel that is yoga for anybody, including you. And I am talking to you. You might not think I am, but I'm talking to you. You can do it. Everybody can do this stuff. You just got to get up and do it and try. Today's tutorial, Francis is going to help me out with a 3-level tutorial. We're going to do a low lunge into a half split into a runner's lunge. They're a beautiful transition, quite easy to do, many benefits and many ways to come in and out of the postures. So we don't have to wait too long. We can start this at the beginning of a class. And these classes, again, are for everybody. And just to practice stretching and getting to know your body. Okay, I might have to start that whole thing over again. Alrighty, welcome to the channel here at Atma Yoga. We're working on a series of tutorials to help you out in your everyday classes, your home practice, or maybe something you're doing in a studio where you're like, what the heck are they talking about? I'm not sure, I'm not feeling this. What can I do? And you don't have a chance to ask the teacher of the class, or you just don't feel confident enough to do that. So these little tutorials are just to help you out with those things. And I've seen lots of things I've taught in many studios, private classes, many things. So I see a lot of the things, the common errors or things that people do in these postures that they could make slight modifications on to really get the most out of their yoga practice when you only have 30 minutes to do a class or 60 minutes and you want to build your own class. These little tutorials help you find all those little things that you can make just a little more challenging, more active, where we want to be in yoga class.
Yeah, definitely. That's the look you give to your kids, isn't it, in class?
Good. So today we're going to do a 3-layer one, and that's going to be a low lunge, which is often done in yoga classes. Very common, and just a wonderful stretch for many areas of the body. We're going to move from a low lunge to a half split, which is great when you need to stretch that front hamstring in a way that is effective but safe when you have lots of balancing points. And from there, it's a beautiful transition to a runner's lunge, which is great as far as really generating some heat and can be done from a low lunge, can be done with the knee up, and other modifications to make it more difficult. So you have to kind of see where you're feeling it, because we're all built differently. We all do different sports, or maybe not even sports at all. This is our first class, so you must listen to your body. As always, no pain. We don't want any pain in the body. Stretching, strength, shaking, and sweating is different than feeling a sharp pain or something that really hurts. When you feel that, you must stop. So, before we begin anything, so me and Francis and Makaela did some warming up before we began this. So it might be a good idea to do a little bit of pre-stretching before you do this. But it's okay to just come off the couch and just to try it out a little bit to see how it feels. Before we begin, we're going to do a few deep breaths so that we can just focus on what we're doing to bring our mind here. So you may be coming off a hard day at work and you just want to see a little video on something just to kind of practice something. And to avoid injury in yoga class or even any of your sports, please connect with your breath, your body, to calm down, to bring your presence here. So I always say this is your mat and this is where your practice is. So make it your own. Take time to relax, to breathe, and really bring your attention to here so that you can prevent injuries. You're not moving mindlessly, you're moving mindfully. So let's just bring our hands to heart center for this class here. We're sitting in a seated pose. Do the best you can in seated pose. Sit up tall, bring the shoulder blades back together. I like to keep my thumbs pressing just gently into the solar plex. Just a gentle press. Spread your fingers and now press your hands together. Now allow your shoulder blades to drop down. And notice where your chin is. Are you kind of pointing down towards your fingers? Are you looking up? Find that happy medium. Just a proud chin. Your neck is long. And now together we're going to take an inhale to a 5 count. We're going to hold for a 5 count and exhale to a 5 count. So on my cue, exhale all the air out from your lungs. Inhale to a 5 count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now allow your breath to return to a natural rhythm. That breath system can be done 2 or 3 times before you even begin a class to calm your mind, depending on how stressful your day was or where your mind is at. So let's begin. Let's get right into it. We're going to have Francis come into a low lunge from tabletop. So come into tabletop. We'll talk from there, okay? So tabletop, in yoga classes, we start cat-cow from here. We can step back to plank. Tabletop, all for the knees and the hands are on the floor, nice and stable. Keep the belly flat so the lower back won't dip down. So the belly pulls in to keep the lower back flat. Now I'm going to ask Frances to step her right foot between her hands. So just step that foot through. Good. Now notice the distance of your feet. You want to make sure they're still about hips distance apart, because when we come up, we need to have balance. Good. So she's going to balance into her front foot, all the 4 points of the front foot. If you'll notice, the top of her back foot is down here. For this, we're going to start with the top of the foot on the floor. Now bring your hands to your thigh and pull yourselves up. Good. So this is called the 90-90 low lunge. So we'll talk about the variations. This is a great place to start just to kind of test you out. So you'll see it on the other side when we do it, but the hip is stacked right above the knee. And this knee is stacked right above the ankle. And there is a tremendous amount of balance in that front foot. So we're already beginning to focus on the balance, because sometimes we move faster. Good, good, good. That's good. Now from here, we want to turn the tailbone down. So the tailbone, the lower back curves, and the tailbone will come down. It doesn't have to be a big one. Press into the top of the back foot just slightly. And you should feel a nice stretch in the opposite hip. Now lift your arms up. Many variations from this point in low lunge. So a gentle press on the top foot. We're not sinking forward yet. The arms are active, biceps beside the ears, fingers stretch. So you might have your fingers kind of loose. Straighten the fingers. Spread the fingers if you want. Really shoot that energy up. Good. Lower ribs pull in here so the core stays active. 90-90. This could be it for your low lunge today. I want Frances to pull her front heel back and her back knee forward, not to actually lift up and move, just pull them to really activate on the inner pelvis, the inner thighs, the adductors. Good, so this is the 90-90. This is good, we're still working here. Okay guys, come forward a little bit. Keep that active, so the front foot's gonna walk forward. The shoulders stay above the hips. You'll notice the difference here. So this back leg you can see is about a bit of an angle now. So we're stretching deeper into the low lunge. Again, arms stay active. You can press your palms together, and the pose begins to take on a whole other realm of activity. We don't have to do much to generate some heat there. Because the balance is so good in the front foot, you can begin to look up, to challenge yourself, to challenge your balance. So many different types of balancing in yoga. This could be considered a balancing posture. Good. Now Francis, guys, come even deeper, as deep as you can. No restraint, don't hold anything back. Come as deep as you can. Good. Now, many people in classes will do this automatically. We're not really activating anything. We're stretching into the end range motions of those joints. And if we do it enough, we will damage those things. So we don't, it's a good stretch to hold once in a while, maybe in a yin class, but here we don't want to dump too deep into there. So from here, pull your front leg back and your back knee forward, but keeping that deep bend. So you won't be able to go as deep as you possibly can here when we're actively pulling the feet in, and that's okay. Now try to find a breath. So there's 3 levels into that one thing that you can try. Good. Now inhale with me. Exhale, bring your hands to the floor and straighten your right leg. Pull the toes back. Good. This is half split, or in Sanskrit, it's called Ardha Hanumanasana, which is half split. So when we come into that, so come back into low lunge for a second, Francis. So she's in low lunge. A great transition is into this Ardha Hanumanasana. So pull back into Ardha Hanumanasana. There has to be some adjustment in the front foot in order to keep the rest of the body aligned. So her hip is still above her back knee. Okay. There's still, her feet are still hips distance apart, so she has balance. Her back is flat. Good. We pull that back heel back in order to really activate the hamstring. This is the hamstring in here. It stretches strictly for the hamstring. And again, it's a half split, so you can imagine doing that low lunge, then into this. When we practice that, we end up developing that sort of body awareness to come into a full split, or as low as we can. Okay, so Makaela in the background here is a runner, weightlifter, things like that, and her hamstrings are tight from that. So the best way to help yourself get into this safely is with the blocks, and there's many different levels to the blocks. So there is obviously the tallest version, the mid version, the flattest version. So I've asked Makaela to go to the highest version here to keep her back flat. Her back compensates, right? So we want to keep the back flat. Inhale. Think of the spine getting longer. Exhale. Walk forward. Walk that hands forward. Good. Make sure everything is still hips distance. Really good, you guys. Really, really good. Feeling okay?
Yep.
Good. Good. That's it. That is, we can do other things from here, but for this tutorial, this is a great series. Now we're going to come into runner's lunge, a beautiful transition. Pull that right foot back. We transition from a low lunge. Good. Now I want you to tuck the back toes, lift the back knee up. Good. So, Francis, bring your back knee to the ground. Good. So here, this could be considered a runner's lunge as well, just modified. This is okay to do. She's leaning forward, has the support of the ground. I want you to bring your back knee up though and try and watch this heat build. So she's going to push her back heel forward, and this leg is going to activate like crazy. So that is going to keep it bended just a smidge. Good. So we're not fully activating as long as we can. So maybe you activate that leg and hold for a little while, and you take a little break, depending on how long the teacher's going to make you hold it. Her knee is stacked over her front ankle. Now, because the left foot is back here, I want you to lift your right hand up, directly up, nice and tight to the body. And this is called revolved runner's lunge, because we're twisting. It's a beautiful posture. So with Francis, you want to twist from the ribs. You don't want to let that arm swing all the way back. You don't want it to be about the shoulder stretch. You want to twist here. So then we stack the wrist above the shoulder. This shoulder above that wrist. So it's all very joint, weight bearing on the joints there. Good. How's that feeling, you guys?
Good.
It's warm, right?
Yeah.
So, holding there. Now, you might be tempted to bow that front leg out because it's easier to roll to the outside edge of the foot. Guys, do that for me. Okay, we want to keep pressing into the ball of that front leg, pulling the knee in, working the adductors on the inside. Good. Right hand comes down. Good. Let's step back into tabletop. Good. So, real easy kind of a series, but works so much. And I challenge you guys to hold any one of those postures for 60 seconds, maybe a minute and a half, just to see what it's like to hold and to feel where you feel things. If we move too quickly through things, the body doesn't get a chance to really feel what it's supposed to feel. Once you recognize that feeling, and it sometimes takes practice, you can go through a class a little faster and still generate that feeling within the body that you would if we were holding postures longer. Okay. So let's do the other side just to keep these ladies balanced, because sometimes they're not balanced.
Balance in yoga, not balanced in life, okay?
Good. So we're just going to step through from tabletop. A great entry-level place to do this. Tabletop, and step the opposite foot through. I think we're right this time.
No, it's in left.
Left, thank you very much. We're still working on that. So I know that you might be able to come right up and lift your hands right up for this low lunge. If you need a little help doing that because you're not there yet, place your hands on your thighs and push yourself up. Good. And then we're at that same 90-90. Top of the back foot presses down, the feet are still hips distance apart, the front knee stacks over the front ankle, shoulders above the hips, tailbone turns out. All these cues, I mean, we could go on forever here. Once you get to know that and you get to know your body and what you're trying to feel, it's really quite amazing. Good. So now inhale, lift the arms. Good. While we're doing this, take a harsh back bend, like really bend back. So Frances is quite flexible. She bends back, her core is no longer engaged here, so that's not bad. So you can definitely stretch the core doing this, but by pulling the ribs in and the tailbone down, we activate that core. So you might be real enjoy a nice back bend here, so make it your own. Make it your own. Good. Good. Now sink a little forward. Sink a little forward. Good. Not all the way. Not all the way. Keep that tailbone turned down. It's going to reduce the amount you can sink forward, and that's okay. We just want to take it nice and easy. Until you're more experienced and get to know your body, we always use a lot of caution. Good. Now come down as deep as you can. And notice, it's very hard to keep the tailbone turned down. It's very hard to keep the legs active. So that's something you can work on. We just want to be safe. We want to be safe at all times. Good. Now try and time the next movement with your breath. Inhale. Get really long on the side body. Exhale. Ardha Hanumanasana. Half split. Good. Frances walks her front foot forward. Pulls the toes back. Makaela's on it. Setting on the blocks. Keep the blocks handy. Absolutely. The target area is the hamstring. If you are not feeling it on the hamstring, you must make adjustments to feel it there. If you feel it somewhere else, that's okay. The idea of this posture is the hamstring, but your back might be tight. This may be the first one you've ever done. The idea of this, when you get into it, is the hamstring. So pull the toes back and make sure the hips are level. So if you can see, Frances's left hip is sinking forward here. So pull that heel back, Frances. Pull that heel back. Pull that heel back. This is level. How'd that feel?
It
feels different.
Feels different, yeah.
So we'll compensate because we think we can forward fold further if we let that leg stay stretched further. But we really want to, again, if we're targeting this area being effective as we can, we're trying to get that hamstring. So pull that leg back. The same sort of cues will happen in splits as well. Just a couple of breaths here. Good. Now, timing it with your breath the best that you can, let's come forward back into low lunge. Pull the foot in, tuck the back toes, and lift the back knee off the ground. Take a moment here. This may be where your balance is at. This is super cool. As soon as you're ready, lift the opposite hand. The hand, naturally, that will lift. If you lift the other hand, it's super difficult to hold the balance. Good. So we want to make sure the back heel continues to push forward, and again, we're twisting from the thoracic part of the spine. Wrist over shoulder, shoulder over wrist, and just get long. Good. Good. That knee pulls in as always. Watch that, it bows out. You think you're doing good and that knee bows out. And if you need a break, you can do that, but not always. Good. Hand to the floor and step back to tabletop. Good. So I got an idea, guys. All
Oh gosh.
So let's show everybody how we can do this from down dog. And we'll just go through boom, boom, boom. I'm going to leave this on the video too because I think it's important to see.
Okay.
So
Okay.
let's come into down dog. Good. Inhale. Find that distance. Francis, walk your feet back a little. Good. Inhale. Lift the, let's go left leg today. Lift the left leg. Exhale, step the foot through between your hands. So we're going to work on that in another tutorial. Good. Back knee comes down, hands to thighs, inhale to low lunge. Lift the hands. Good. Hold here. Press back foot. Press. Pull. Tailbone down. Take one more inhale. I'll try and time it. Exhale, hands to the floor, Ardha Hanumanasana. Good. Foot walks forward or back knee walks back. Target area is the hamstring. Good. Just a couple breaths. When you next exhale, pull that front foot forward, sole of the foot to the floor, tuck the back toes, revolve lunge immediately. Nice. Back leg is active. Everything is strong. You can see Makaela's using the block here. It's a better sense for her body to do this. She loses some of the benefits if her hand is on the floor. She can do it, but it just, yeah, her leg starts to go out. It's just better for her body style right now to use the block. Okay, bring your left hand to the floor. Step your foot back to down dog. Good. Take 5 breaths here. So make sure you see our down dog tutorial where we get into the finer points of down dog and how at first it's definitely a strengthening posture. And it still continues to be that way, but in the beginning it's definitely hard to do that. And then it becomes a rest posture. Let's lift the right leg up with an inhale. And now let's step the foot through. Exhaling, step through. Back knee comes down, inhale right to low lunge, lift the hands, or use your hands on your thigh. Perfect, Makaela. Good. Inhale again. Reach even further. Exhale, hands to the floor, straighten the front leg. Adjust. Good, perfect. If you get super bendy in this, think of your nose to your toes. So I want my back flat. I want to walk my hands forward and keep that foot pulling back. Okay, good guys. Your next breath, whenever you're ready, let's come into revolve runner's lunge here. Runner's lunge is there. Revolve, we twist from there. Definitely, I would say point B, like a next level up. So see, the legs bowing in. There you go. So walk it over. There you go. And now pull it in. Get it now. Perfect. Hand to the floor. And step back to down dog. And foot to the floor. Knees to the floor, guys. Good. All right. Good. In that little sequence there, we've stretched, strengthened, twisted, done so many things, and that took us not very long at all.
No.
And if this is your first time accessing yoga, you can definitely do this and modify using blocks. We don't get a chance oftentimes in a yoga class in the studio to take the time to figure out our bodies. It's kind of go, 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 go. And you might be in a packed class and you maybe can't ask the teacher after what you were doing wrong, or they might not even see you. We do our best, but we can't always see everybody. So doing these little sequences just like this is beautiful. I do this in my class a lot. I love to practice splits, but you have to kind of work into it. And this is a nice, easy way to do it, right? It's a nice warming. You guys are warm already.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And when you activate all those things, pushing into the feet and twisting and really keeping the body active, it really, and by active I mean we're trying to flex our muscles to do this, but that's how we start to feel things. When we sink just deep into the flexibility, it is not all about flexibility in yoga, not at all. You might think, I'm not flexible enough. You guys ever heard that? Did you say that?
Yeah.
Did you see that? Yeah, I hear that all the time, especially from dudes. They're like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not flexible enough. And it's not really about that. The flexibility comes with practice and safety. And right now, just take it one step at a time. So find a class that works for you. Find a style of yoga that works for you. Find a teacher that resonates with you. There's many, 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 many good teachers out there that really have your best interest at heart. So find those teachers that you resonate with and use all the tools. Stay healthy, stay active. Even if it's just this little sequence, guys. If you just do this 3 times a week, you're still moving, you're still doing things. We all have to start somewhere. We can all tweak it. You'll never master yoga. Yoga is a practice. We always practice yoga. So thanks again to Makaela and Francis for coming to help me out. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. You can comment in the comments below if you have any questions about this or variations, or don't think too much about it. There's lots of different names, styles, ways to do this. Just get up and just do something is all we're saying. Anybody can do yoga, even you.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah.
Until next time, namaste.